Hey Leos, my name is Jacene, also known as Tempest Trade, and this is your energy check-in. These messages may resonate if you have the Leo Zodiac anywhere in your chart. Please use discernment when listening to these messages since it is a collective meant for many different types of people. So check in with your gut, check in with your intuition before applying these messages to yourself. Also, if you're interested in any one-on-one private sessions for tarot, divination, energy healing, or sound healing, you can go to my Linktree Tempest Trade or any of my social media, and all the links are in the description below. And lastly, it doesn't matter when this video was recorded, when it is uploaded, or when you come across it, there may be something in here for you. So, now that that's all out, now that that is all out of the way, let's see what Leos need to know right now. The first thing that we have out is the King of Claws in the reversal. This is, excuse me. Oh man. You could have difficulty speaking up, or saying the right thing. King of Claws in the reversal. This is the horror monsters tarot deck. So King of Claws represents King of Swords. In the reversal, this is an authoritarian leader, an authoritarian person, someone who maybe plays mind games, a person who, or a situation or a group, but something or someone that might manipulate, play mind games, or get in people's head, uses logic, is too logical, too cold and calculated. If I'm not mistaken, this character is Van Helsing. And when we think about the traditional stories of vampires and Van Helsing, if I'm not mistaken, is a doctor, a cold and calculated doctor. But there's the one side, which is the protector, and then the other side, which is, unfortunately, the killer. So this really is, since it's in reversal, it could be you. It could be someone that you know, someone that you're connected to, but it's like a person that might have some power or might misuse their mind, their persuasion. They might be persuasive, and they just might kind of get their way in a kind of like authoritative way. Or, they might be mean. And this could be you too. So have self-awareness, check in with your gut. Let's get more information. Well, cards are difficult to shuffle right now. Do that again. Much better this time. The star and the sideways. The star is the star, the shining light, main character energy, hope, resilience, like an inner strength, but in the sideways. Sometimes you shine, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're confident and you are the main character, sometimes you're not. If you are tied to or connected to or involved with someone who might use words and mental tactics to get their way, it probably drains you. It probably puts you in your head about who you are. And if it's not someone, then it could be yourself. You could be very hard on yourself. Other people could be very hard on you. If you are the king of claws in the reversal, you could be hard on others. 3 of candles, which is the 3 of wands in the sideways. It's hard to see a way forward. It's hard to kind of picture the world to light the way. And it's interesting because it's the stars, the light, the inner light, the shining. The shining, not another horror. Maybe that movie, The Shining, is significant, or the book. But going back to the 3 of candles, moving forward, seeing the way forward, and not really seeing it all the time, because you can't really see yourself, or you don't always believe in yourself. So it's not easy to see the way forward, or to see what the world could be like, what life could be like. In order to be the main character, on some level, you have to feel like the world is yours. And you don't feel like the world is yours. Page of claws. And that's the beginning. That's the beginning of taking back your power, your mental power with this page of claws, is understanding that you do have power and it's within you. It's how you use that power. Other people might have a tendency to use it for crappy reasons, but you do have a choice. You're not them, they're not you. And if this is you, again, you still have a choice. You have a choice to change. You have a choice to be the light, be the example. But again, it begins with you. It begins with your own clarity of self. With the Magician in the reversal, and there's one more card that fell. The 2 of claws in the upright, and the bottom of the deck is the World in the upright. It begins with you. If you think you are powerless, you will be powerless. If you think you can't do it, then you're not going to do it. 2 of claws being the 2 of swords. It's a choice. And you have the choice. And didn't I say, like, with the star card, it's like you don't think the world is yours, and then the world is right here. The world is yours. The world is everyone's. Everyone's is the world. The world belongs to everyone, and everyone belongs to the world. It is a collaborative event, and everyone gets to choose. So you can either choose, especially with this Magician card being Frankenstein. You can choose. How are you going, like Frankenstein, reanimating corpses. First of all, reanimating corpses is definitely a very iffy concept. But we are also in a time period of innovation. humanity has always been innovating, and a lot of people have been innovating in very crappy ways. Again, this King of Claws in the reversal: authoritative, mean, cruel, calculating, logical. When you have a choice to be the light, and you have a choice to change the world, and you have a choice to be the world, how are you going to use the powers that you have? How are you going to shine the light that you are? Are you going to be a protector, or are you going to be a killer? That's what this is like. How did we get on this, like, and this doesn't have to be as drastic as like life, but this really is giving me the feeling that, every little thing matters. And I'm not trying to say that to scare you and think, oh my God, I have to constantly dot my I's, cross my T's, mind my Q's and P's. And it's like, no, it's more so, it's the intention. It's the overall intention of how you choose to exist. When you're more clear of self, it is harder to turn into something that is not you. Because if you're clear of self and you maintain a sort of like a reason, if you maintain, and it's not just a reason, but it's also a tie to innocence, a connection to innocence, because the page is in the hierarchy of the tarot, the page is the lowest hierarchy, the like the novice, the amateur, the beginner. And the thing about being like a student, the thing about being a beginner, an amateur, a novice, a student, is that you know that you're learning. You understand that there is a light to you, and you understand that you just need more knowledge and practice. That's basically it. And as you start to elevate and evolve and grow, the key thing is to maintain a piece of your innocence, the inner child, so to speak, to maintain the core. Because when you think about, okay, when we're thinking about reverse magician too, a reverse magician is also a manipulator and abuser, someone who abuses power, very similar to the King of Claws in the reversal. So when we're thinking about power and we're thinking about abuse or the use of power, we sometimes forget that every adult, every elder, every middle age, every 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, 100, etc. Every one of those people began as a child, began as a baby. And somewhere along the way of a person's life, we stop looking at a person as a baby, as like a piece of life, a piece of the world, and it becomes very authoritarian, systematic, logical. And you forget that inside every one of us is still a child. I didn't think this reading was going to be as aggressive as this is saying. And again, it doesn't have to be as severe as life and death, power and control, and all that. But I when you really think about all the different areas of life, love, work, family, peers, and community, when you think about all those small little groups, micro groups of community, you have to also observe that within every little micro group of community, there is a natural hierarchy. There is a natural leader, a natural mediator, a natural chaos creator, a natural, like, there are certain people that naturally do certain things. And when inside those microgroups, some people that have certain powers or certain like responsibilities, obligations, or certain abilities, skills, strengths, like certain things can shift or pivot them from this point of community and innocence and togetherness and collaboration, and it can shift into that hierarchy of power. I'm sorry, but this really is, it's like no matter what in a relationship, in a work environment. So this power dynamic and this caution of being true to who you are and staying true to that inner light, it is like a tale of caution. The moral of the story: maintain life, maintain light. Because when you forget that a person is a person, when you forget that the person began as a child, you start to look at them as a cold and calculated thing, no longer a piece of life. Sorry, that was like a whole 17 minutes of... I wish there was a different true love in the reversal. While I was giving the entire speech about like hurt, like I honestly was thinking about when people become abusers, users, and they hurt people, it really is a loss of love. It really is, because whoever or whatever situation is cold, cruel, calculating, and unemotional, it is that, a lack of emotion. And when a person doesn't lead with love, love is the most powerful force. But so too is hate. And they both come from the same place. I would say, if you haven't already, do some research on the actual science experiments and research studies around like love. And I'm not talking like romantic love. I'm talking about, for example, the study on playing music, or playing like words or dialogue to plants while they're growing, and researching and observing how the plants grow based on what music or what words are being said to the plant. The same type of research study where someone spoke to water and froze it, or was it they spoke to water and then they froze it to see how the water droplets would look when they're frozen. Because snowflakes, for example, no snowflake is the same. Every snowflake is different, and they're beautiful, elaborate patterns, and that occurs naturally just in nature. So with this research study, speaking good or ill into the water, freezing a drop of it, and then seeing what type of pattern that little snowflake becomes. And you see that, well, I won't spoil it for you. So just do some of that research, look into those experiments and the studies, and just kind of open your eyes to the reality of love And again, not just romantic love, but like just genuine care for another life. The same way that people rescue animals on the side of the road that are injured. It's that care for, I see something or someone in pain and I'm going to help. And it doesn't even need to be a person or a thing in pain. It could just be an overall care for a person, place, or thing. So that's really important to this, especially since we have been talking about this whole power dynamic. And with this true love, it could be a relationship. So if you are the collective that is in a relationship, and you might be in a relationship with someone that is kind of abusive, or can be, or can have some abusive tendencies when they are not completely checked, when they're not completely like good. Ooh. Okay. So I'm going to take this because of how everything fell. Fork in the road for the star. Again, it's a choice. You have a choice to be the light, a choice to shine the light, a choice not to be the light. Ooh. And this card, when you look at this card, there is a light shining on this side of her face. So you see part of her face illuminated, and then part of her face illuminated by the moon that's over here. Now, in the tarot, the moon or moonlight is associated with lies, deception, not seeing things very clearly. And so I like the juxtaposition of what seems to be firelight, candlelight, along with moonlight. Because when you think about fire, fire, at least in the tarot, is the element of passion and creativity, the element of movement and drive and momentum. It's like determination. So it's like the two sides of going with the story that's being told, even if you don't know all the details, going along with whatever story, or having the choice to instead create your own story. And that's what this is. Having the choice. And the reason why I want to keep this, especially with the way it fell out, is because we have a pivotal moment. A fork in the road is a pivotal moment. That is the choice. So what is your choice? Snitch in the reversal. I did say things are being concealed. I feel like information is being concealed from you. Certain pieces of information that will actually make it easier to make the choice that you need to make. And it's interesting because this King of Claws deals with the mind. So it could be possible that if you are in a relationship, or you are connected to someone who is the King of Claws, and let me just say it too, King of Claws, being the King of Swords, also represents the zodiac signs of Gemini, Libra, and, if I'm not mistaken, Aquarius, air signs. So you could be connected to an air sign, or you just could be connected to someone that is very smart and knows how to talk their way through things or mentally maneuver things. And if you're not in a relationship, then you could be connected to a friend, a family member, a coworker, a job, like just something that is very mentally taxing, and it puts you in like circles a little bit. So there might be some information being withheld from you, and it's information that will be very pivotal in your choice to keep going with the story that's being fed to you, or to decide to make your own path. So we have earworm in the reversal with marked by the gods in the sideways. Earworm symbolizes something that's been repeating over and over. Something that might have been something that you've been thinking, something that someone has been saying, but in the reversal, it is giving that you have not been paying attention to it. And then marked by the gods is this card represents purpose, destiny, skills and abilities and gifts that you are just naturally talented in ever since you were born. So altogether, and especially since the Three of Candles is like lighting the way, knowing the path forward, being able to move in kind of a like worldly fashion to the world, to be of the world, or to know the world, or to help the world. Also, the World card represents cycles. Cycles ending, new beginnings, that type of thing. So altogether, this section is giving me that there are certain things that you've been told, or certain things that you've been given, like abilities, gifts, skills. And I feel like you've been ignoring your natural talents, or you've been ignoring certain advice. And these talents or this advice could help you find your way through the world. So many cards coming out. Cliffhanger and regret, both in the reversal. If you continue to hold back because of the unknown, you may find yourself in a space of regret, because the unknown isn't something to regret. And if a story should stop before it is fully ended, like there's no closure, something ends and you don't have closure, let it go. We have skeleton hand here with two bloodied hands here. And we have this person that's climbing, cliffhanger, climbing. You don't have to climb and claw your way. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to climb and claw your way through things. Since we also have cliffhanger card, and cliffhanger deals with something ending abruptly at just the moment, the heightened moment of suspense, where you're going to either get the answer you've been, snitch. Just get the answer you've been looking for. And you might never get the information that you need to make the choice that you're making, or that you need to make. And I think these cards are saying that you need to be okay with that. You need to be okay if you don't get information. If you do get the information, cool. But if you don't, be free of it. Let it go. Also, this could mean, this reverse snitch and the reverse cliffhanger, this could mean whatever information is being withheld, you might already know. You might already have an instinctual feeling about it, in which case you don't need more information. You just need your feeling. You just need to trust yourself. Because again, if this is about someone, a specific person, place, or thing, if there's no love, if there's no genuine care, what are you doing there? You can't make someone care. Lost in the sideways. You can't make someone care if they don't want to care. people who, especially since this is to clarify the reverse magician, which is abuse, manipulation, etc., those people are lost. They don't know themselves. Some of them are aware that they have bad habits and they hurt people. Some of them are not. You could be this person that doesn't always know that you've got crappy bad habits that bring crap to other people. But again, it's a choice. Everyone has to choose to sit with themselves and assess themselves. Epiphany in the reversal. Epiphany is that aha moment. A scientist, a researcher, experimenting, testing, paying attention, observing, taking notes. Two of claws, which is the two of swords, is a choice. Sometimes epiphany is the aha moment. Sometimes it comes to you and you don't have to work hard for it. You can ignore it if you get the aha moment. That is a choice. And sometimes you actually need to put in the work in order to have the aha moment. For example, with these test tubes and these beakers, research. In order to make sense of something really complicated, you have to sit down and be able to break it down and understand each little component itself. Understand every little piece to understand the whole. That's important because when it comes to being an inner light or finding the light inside yourself, to be true to yourself, you need to be able to look and pay attention at all the different small parts of you. Because before we can hold anyone accountable, we first must hold ourselves accountable. If you don't like the way another person is behaving, are you also ensuring that you do not behave in the same manner? I like to say, treat people how you want to be treated. And I know there's a lot of different people in this world, and a lot of different people have different levels of treatment. But because there is the sheer fact that there are different types of people that have different levels, when you understand that and you approach it from the science point of view of, okay, if there are different levels, there's still got to be a ground zero. There's still got to be a baseline that could uphold all the other levels. It's something like that. With this Epiphany card in reversal, it's like, again, it's a choice, and you have the choice to put in a little bit of work, and you have the choice to hear and see the aha moment when it arises. Again, you might have been receiving certain guidance, certain guidance that you've been ignoring. And again, it's a choice. I like how that spun. Hilarious memory. With divine resurrection on the bottom of the deck. Okay. Divine resurrection, this says, returning life from the shores of the underworld is a feat reserved only for the powerful and the foolhardy. Divine resurrection in the reversal. So bringing something back to life. That's interesting because we were also just talking about Dr. Frankenstein, like reanimating corpses. And I did mention first and foremost how that's probably already a tricky concept because we already have a natural cycle of life and death. The magician, Dr. Frankenstein, was testing the limits of the natural cycle of life and death. Now, there are different versions of the Frankenstein story. Some versions have the Frankenstein monster being just a monster. And then some stories have the Frankenstein monster being incredibly intelligent, empathetic, and deeply feeling. That the Frankenstein story was also a story of choice, bringing something back from the dead, but then that thing in itself having a choice, how to use its power, its immortality. Dr. Frankenstein also had a choice, how to reanimate, how to go about that. Dr. Frankenstein chose grave robbing and a whole bunch of other sordid tactics to, of course, beeline around all the laws that were against some of the things that he wanted to do. Now, this hilarious memory card, this says, levity lightens a tense moment. Tragedy turns to comedy. Remember that one time. You have everyone in stitches. It's in the sideways. So when it comes to the world, either being part of the world, being one with the world, maneuvering through the world, or even certain chapters, certain habits, certain lifestyle choices coming to a close, and you starting a new chapter and a new lifestyle. This card symbolizes that some things you will look back on with levity. Some things will be a memory. Some things will be just life. And some things you might still need to work through. And I feel like that's what this divine resurrection and the reversal cards means. Like there are certain things just don't bring back. If you're going to remake yourself, renew yourself, some things need to stay in the past. Oh, I just looked up 37 minutes, 37 seconds on the recording counter. This is going to be a long collective. I wonder if we're going to hit the 50-minute mark. I haven't done 50-minute collectives in a little bit. Troll singing. Okay, troll singing. One, trolls. Internet trolls, online trolls, people who troll, who make life harder, bring you down, just revel in your dissatisfaction and in your riled emotions. But also trolls in the land of fairy tales, myths, and legends. Trolls are also, they're like gatekeepers. They demand a toll in order for you to pass. And the toll could be anything from money to solving riddles or performing tasks. So when we think about troll singing, especially with a reverse King of Claws and a reverse True Love, this really is giving someone or something that does enjoy the chaos that they create, or does require some type of compensation for anything and everything. It might be a gatekeeper to their love, a gatekeeper to just anything, really. And then we have Blessed Shield that came out for the star, which is interesting because, so the star, the inner light, the innocence, the hope, the main character with the choice, to step into that, to step into your light, to maintain your light, to be the main character, to grab your crown. With the Blessed Shield, I feel like that's protected. Either you are protected, or you need to protect yourself. And I'm not saying that as in you need to be worried, but more so, don't allow yourself to fall into crappy connections. That type of shield. Like, you have the ability to take care of yourself. You have the ability to say yes or no. You have the ability to choose. And it's not just about choosing the right connections and the healthier connections. It's also about making healthier choices for yourself, just in general. Because when you begin to make healthier choices for yourself, you begin to have a more active or peaceful or productive or like restful life. Like, when you work on yourself, when you heal yourself, when you are taking care of yourself, when you're making healthy choices, your life is just going to be blessed. And of course, that doesn't mean that if you don't take care of yourself and you don't do all that stuff, your life's not going to be blessed. But what I'm saying is, you have power over your life. And you have to protect that power. Don't allow people to come in with like singing a whole little song and dance, and that song and dance happens to be a freaking mask. It's not real. Like, don't fall for crappy behavior. Don't tolerate crappy behavior. Steadfast. What I say, don't tolerate crappy behavior. And not just crappy behavior, but since steadfast is to clarify the Three of Candles with the earworm and the mark of the gods, the whole, you've been getting certain guidance and you haven't been listening. Start moving. Start listening. Steadfast. When you receive the little gut nudge, when you feel that little feeling, when that little voice in the back of your head, when you have just that thing, when someone says something a bit too many times, when something happens too many times, pay attention. Those are the small little nudges that the world is trying to give you. The world is trying to give you small little nudges. Gods, the world, the universe, whatever it is you believe. They're trying to communicate with you. They're trying to give you, like, they're trying to literally not breadcrumb you, not in a bad way. They're trying to lay a trail down for you to follow, and you are intentionally ignoring the trail that they're leaving for you. Follow the guidance. Follow the yellow brick road. Following the yellow brick road is how Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow all achieved. They all achieved their main character energy by following the yellow brick road. They remained steadfast on their journey. They stuck together. They watched out for each other. And they did it all to one, get answers, or to get a request from the Wizard of Oz. And then upon finding out that the Wizard of Oz was just a person abusing their power, I feel like that's important to this. You're over here trying to get attention and validation from someone who isn't even as strong as you. from someone who doesn't even have as much light as you have, that doesn't even have as much courage, as much bravery, as much heart as you do. Someone who's lost in their own ego to really know what true love actually is. So they're singing troll songs and collecting money. And you have a choice to be like them or to be you. Toil and trouble. With toil and trouble, it's like especially with the cliffhanger, regret, and the page of claws. Yeah. There are people behind the scenes that are doing things. You probably already know, you might not know, and the question is, regardless if you know or don't know, if you have the proof, you don't have the proof. It doesn't matter. What matters is how do you feel? People cannot just treat anyone and everyone any way they like. And you cannot just treat anyone and everyone any way you like. Disciple of the old ways and the reversal. And that falls underneath the magician, the reverse magician, which is manipulate, abuse of power, abuser, but also Dr. Frankenstein, which is, again, a person playing God, playing life and death, trying to get answers, but in a backwards kind of way. Disciple of the old ways is a card that, let me read this to you. Celestia thinks nature is a pretty plaything. Nature. True nature would rip their faces off and wear their skins as trophies. Nature has an order. But nature also has feeling. It's like that research with speaking to plants and speaking to water and then watching how the plants and the water change depending on words of hate or words of love. The people who were students, disciples of the old ways, already knew the importance of love and its effect on life. They already knew. But as we stepped forward, humanity stepped forward into a more technological science period, there were a lot of old teachings that we just pushed to the side. And when you push certain teachings to the side, you are completely forgetting that it took centuries. It took centuries of learning to achieve that knowledge. And then suddenly, because humanity found a different branch a different branch of life to investigate, they just toss the rest of their research and their findings in the trash. That's not how you research. That's not how you research. A true scientist does not discredit or take anything off the table, especially when you're searching for truth, when you're searching for answers. Nothing is finished when it comes to research. There's always connections. There's always connections between everything. There's always a cause, there's always an effect, there's always a reason. And just like the butterfly effect, even when you think something is so small, it really does have a chain reaction somewhere else down the line. But the question is, are you aware enough to pay attention to that? Sorry for that whole long rant. But I feel like this disciple of the old ways is a call for you, whoever I'm talking to. When you are embodying your light and being your natural, authentic self, when you are stepping into your inner child and bringing your inner child to your everyday life, that is part of also going back to the old ways, because children have a mind that is more expansive than what adults typically have, because adults have all of these constraints that have been placed onto them about what the world is like, what the world should be like, whereas children come into the world with this openness for everything. And just like science, when you start to eliminate or take certain things off the table, your awareness, your scope of what's possible is more limited. Because true answers don't have a box. Real answers are drawn from multiple sources, and those multiple sources create a continuity of patterns. Again, sorry. Yeah, this is going to be a long reading. Sorry for the long reading. Okay, I guess I'm going to take that one. Recovery in the sideways. Yep. Certain things that you need to heal from in terms of your choices, in terms of why you make certain choices that you make. There's certain things that you probably don't see about yourself, certain things that you need to heal. You're going to have to look really closely, too. But the recovery card is in the sideways. So for some of you, or all of you, I feel like you kind of already know. You kind of already have a feeling, but with the Epiphany card and the reversal, I feel like you're not looking closely enough. Like you have an idea, but you're not actually like completely doing the work. You're not journaling. You're not taking notes. You're not testing out different mindsets, testing out different choices. Because the thing about science, research, and experiment is testing. You get a piece of information and then you change your tactic, you change your method. You implement, you apply the new information into whatever it is that you're doing. And usually new information requires new actions. So I think this is part of the cycle that you need to change, is because I even mentioned over here, even if you don't get the information that you need, you probably already have that feeling. And in reality, all you really need is that feeling. If something doesn't feel right, you don't need proof of that feeling. You just need to trust that feeling. Okay. Also, I just want to premise, this doesn't mean allowing your emotions to completely control and dictate your actions. That doesn't mean that. Because your intuition, that's why this Epiphany card is very important. When you make certain choices and you're going off of your intuition or your feelings, the gut feelings, it is possible for you to confuse a gut feeling with like a traumatic trigger. It's possible for you to confuse the two if you're not looking closely at why, how, when, where, who. If you're not analyzing why you react or feel certain ways, like, I'm not saying to overanalyze it, but you get a feeling, just think about it. Think about it a little bit. trust it, go with it, and learn. If you trust the feeling, go with it, learn. How do you feel after you made your choice? Did information come out that you were right? Like, don't look for proof, just trust, move forward, and let it go. Because if your gut feeling was true, then you basically protected yourself. You shielded yourself and you did what you needed to do. That's it. It's done. On to the next thing. If your choice wasn't actually right, it doesn't really hurt you in reality, because life is life and there will always be more opportunities. And that was just a learning curve for you to train that muscle of intuition and train that muscle of your gut instinct. And it's okay, as long as you have that grace with yourself that you are making the best, again, healthiest choices for you. And that's what you need to just keep in mind, is health, recovery, doing something healthily. Ooh, it's gonna be, what, an hour reading? Ooh. Era of Enlightenment in the reversal. And that comes out with the World and Hilarious Memory. Again, there are certain things that you will need to heal from, certain things that there are certain things that you will be able to let go, and it will be okay, and you'll look back on it and it's not going to matter. I feel like this Era of Enlightenment card represents, again, a choice. When you enter a new chapter in your life and you are given new opportunities to change your life choices based on the lessons and the teachings that you've learned before, it requires a level of enlightenment, a level of elevation, growth, and improvement to understand that change is a natural part of the world. The world wasn't created in a day. Change is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a road. It's going to be a journey. And you might have some difficulty reaching an enlightened period, an enlightened point. But I feel like that is your journey. Your journey is the enlightenment. Season of growth. Been saying that. Season of growth in the sideways. To clarify divine resurrection, there are certain things you cannot bring back because you are in a season of growth. And again, it's a choice. You have a choice to bring something back from the past, just like Dr. Frankenstein, or you have a choice to choose a new path, just like this Three of Candles and this Star card. And with the season of growth being in the sideways, further clarifies this era of enlightenment. Your growth is up and down sometimes. Sometimes you're on top of it, sometimes you're not. And with this mighty leap, taking the leap of faith, you don't always believe. You don't always know. You don't always trust when you're being asked to jump. You're being asked to trust. The Tailor in the reversal. Attention to detail, pride. There are just some things you can't fix. There's some things you can't fix. There's some things that it's not a you thing. It's a them thing. And if it's you, sometimes it's your pride. This is very much an ego pride type of battle with whoever or whatever this is, whether it's you or someone else. Now the forgotten in the sideways, missed opportunities, fear of failure. Again, this fork in the road in this pivotal moment. When you see the signs, when you get the guidance, when you have opportunities to shine your light, step into your power, to take back your life, take back your power, do it. The Herald. Small regrets, longing. You long for the world. You long for things to change. You long for life, exploration. You long for something bigger than this. And you know it can be yours. That's why we have the Herald. Herald is like a call, heralding, like the sunrise, it like an introduction, the beginning. You are being called to do things with your life, to explore, to be out there, and you're not confident in yourself. The Merchant in the reversal, self-worth and trade. I just said it, you're not confident in yourself. Scholar in the reversal, investigation, research. Look at that, research. Epiphany, we've been talking about research, and whoever you are, whoever I'm talking to, you might this could be dealing with a coworker, this could be dealing with work, this could be you versus you pursuing a goal, a dream, a trade, and you requiring more research, more studies, more investigation, more to elevate your natural skills. If this is about a career profession, then you just need to put in the work to train yourself, to hone your abilities and become better, so that way you can actually put yourself out there. And here's another thing. You don't even have to do all that. You can still put yourself out there with as little as you have and build. Because one thing about perfectionism is it can definitely hold you back from putting out a product, because you see a whole bunch of other people out there putting out aesthetically pleasing products and doing videos and photo shoots and just making everything look magazine quality when life is not a magazine. Social media is the highlights reel. People put on social media whatever they want to put on social media, whatever mask they want to put on. And especially since we're also talking about mental manipulation, maybe oppression and control and this power dynamic. If we're talking about social media and just the whims of the people when it comes to being a consumer or work, entrepreneurship, companies, business, money, finances, career, whatever. There's always a top dog and an underdog. There's always the people that come from the bottom and they work with what they got and they evolve over time until they become this big thing. But even when you become something big, are you going to lose sight of yourself? This is a very loaded message, and originally it began as like power dynamics, and then it started going into money and career and just research. So you could be a scientist, you could be a researcher, a writer, an entrepreneur, a tradesperson. This really does cover a lot. All right, Leos. Take the leap. Take the leap. Do the work. Whatever goals or dreams that you have, do it. Go for it. Whatever you need to leave behind, leave behind. Make sure that everything you do, every choice you make sure that it is for the betterment and the improvement of yourself, for the health. And not from a selfish standpoint, but just from the awareness that if you want to be the example, that's basically it. Lead by being the example. All right, Leos. I hope this resonated with you, and if you would like a private one-on-one session with me for tarot, divination, energy healing, or sound healing, you can go to my Linktree Tempest Trade or go to any of my social media links in the description below. Until next time, bye.